Hello, I'm Jackie and welcome to Spirit World Insights. This is not a planned video. However, there has been so much intense energy moving through the collective and Gaia over the past week that I feel very persuaded to go ahead and share some of this information that I've experienced in case there are some of you out there that have had something similar and need some maybe support in how you're feeling. So what I'd like to talk about basically began with February 21 through 22, where we had 3 X-class solar flares. I was not aware of it when it happened because I don't listen to any mainstream anything. And so it wasn't until later that I found out about it, but it made a lot of sense as to why all of a sudden after that happened that everything just kind of got nuts. So if you have not heard about the X-class solar flares, so basically I kind of looked this up because I didn't even really know exactly how to classify them in human terms, but they talk about them being bursts of radiation, being able to reach the earth within minutes. And it caused some radio glitches. It was mainly over the Pacific and Indian Oceans is where they were saying the targeted area of those solar flares impacted the most. Okay. What does that mean to us? Well, what it means to me is super sensitivity. It means that the ascension symptoms that I typically deal with were kicked up 3 times what their normal impact on me was. So if this resonates with you, keep watching. If not, whatever. Okay. So, and a lot of you are already very familiar with the Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's heartbeat. That is the electromagnetic fields that are around. So a lot of us are sensitive. So if it's a solar flare or if it's the Schumann resonance, we're getting impacted with symptoms that a lot of 3D mental human conscious people would just blow off and take ownership of and just assume that they are having a bad day. But someone like me that is incredibly empathic, super sensitive to what's going on, whether it be the collective or in Gaia, I know when something's not normal. And so when it kicks up a level like that, I'm always like, what happened? So I'm going to explain to you some of the things that I have dealt with and kind of deal with on a regular basis, just to enlighten some of you. And again, maybe support those of you that are like me. So I wrote down some symptoms. Okay, these are some of the things that I've experienced kicking up a notch. So the sensitivity to the EMFs, which if you have not seen the video that I did maybe a week or 2 ago on EMFs, go back into the playlist for Spirit World Insights 2024. And it shouldn't be too far down on the list. Very insightful, spiritual information from the entourage about EMFs. Lightheadedness. I can't tell you how many times in the past 7 days I literally will take one step and it's like I've walked into a portal and it's like everything just goes I'm still not quite sure what that's all about because it's just been so overwhelming. I haven't like keyed in on each specific thing that I've dealt with, but yeah, lightheadedness. Other people may also get headaches or specific pinpointed pains in the brain as well. mood swings, low amounts of tolerance, okay? Being tired, being unmotivated, having to nap when you don't typically nap, or maybe even the opposite of not being able to sleep at all. Like you're lying there going, I should be exhausted. I think I am exhausted. Why am I not asleep yet? Okay. A lot of people contacted me this week about different purges since the solar flares. Purging meaning the body detoxing the dense energy, because the way I see the solar flares is they bring so much light onto the planet and it pulls out whatever that dense darkness is that's ready for processing, and then you have to purge it as the process. And then all of a sudden you feel lighter, brighter, more clear, more motivated than ever before. But that purging time frame sucks. And the purge could be sinuses, it could be crying, it could be emotional, it could be sweating, it could be gut purging. What else, you guys? They're talking about the fact that it's your emotions, again, that are being processed back to source energy. And as that happens, it's pulling it out, has to be felt. And then depending on the purge, just depends on the process that's taking place. So, and they're talking about detox. It's like detoxing the body. So if you happen to be going through that, or you went through it, just keep in mind that getting in alignment with the body during that process. So like if your sinuses are purging, change your diet. Lay off of some of the thicker, denser dairy stuff for a while, right? Help your body process by, I don't know, just say, if you get in alignment with it instead of resist it or get mad at it. Because if you resist and get mad, then it's just going to prolong the process and it's just going to suck even more. So if you get in alignment with it and you're like, oh, I'm probably processing something, so let me help my body make it go more smoothly, right? And you can do that by changing your perception of it. Raising your vibration by changing your perception will change your consciousness and raise your vibe. Change your diet a little bit. Change how you talk to yourself. These are just some examples that can help you to get in alignment with what's going on during that purge. Muscles, ligaments, tendons, and bone pain. This is something that I have been dealing with actually for about a year now. I did not injure myself, but I have got extreme issues on the left side of my body that my guides just keep telling me are energy and emotions and things that are processed. Unfortunately, not all of it is mine. Some of it is collective and some of it is lineage as well. But I know that there are others of you that are dealing with these random, weird pains that have to do with the muscles and the bones and stuff that you're just like, what is going on? What I would say is keep in mind the side of the body that you're dealing with, because on the left side is your feminine energy side. On your right side is the masculine feminine energy side. So whichever side is screaming the loudest, causing the most symptoms, consider what that side brings to your body and do the opposite. Okay? Because if it's the masculine side, try to be a little bit more softer, bring a little bit more yin in. Because if this side is the one that's screaming, ultimately you're wanting to be in the middle. You want to be neutral, harmonized. So whichever side is talking the loudest, do the opposite in order to pull the energy back to center. Okay? Okay, and then the other thing that I'm going to talk about, which I'll start going a little bit more detail, some of the things that I've been through personally this week, is chakra sensitivities. Have any of you ever felt random, odd sensations in your chakras that you can't explain? Whether it be a twinge or a tickle or a stab or a squeeze or a expansion in one of your chakras, and specifically in the lower ones. An experience that I had after the solar flares is my solar plexus, which is our gut system. It is the main drive system for the human body. It processes a lot of emotions through the gut, okay? And I get what feels like a band. And it's odd because it's not like a rubber band that goes all the way around the body. It's like a band stream that is like a square, and I will feel it on the front side of the chakra. And it's so odd. But when I ask my guides what it is, they say it's emotion, that it's coming from the collective, and it just needs to process. And I utilize the elements of the planet to do that processing. But it's been coming up multiple times a day, even in the middle of the night. Yeah, anybody else having interesting things like that? So now I'm going to get into some of the things that I've been experienced personally, which that was one of them. You know, getting, whether it be woke up in the middle of the night, just feeling that band there, and then utilizing some of the healing techniques that I do in order to help it process, or having it happen during the day. But as soon as that happened, because that started happening right when the solar flares happened, that was again February 21 through 22. I started feeling those intense emotions in the solar plexus. Then 2 days later, I had what Archangel Metatron called a heart restart. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to do. Imagine if you were to feel on a collective intensity. So again, not yours, but on a collective, all kinds of emotion around self-sabotage. And that came in really, really strong, out of nowhere at 3:30 in the morning. And I, again, was super groggy because I had been asleep. And it came in like a wave. And I rode that wave. And it took me all the way down. I could feel the heart chakra, but then it got real super intense, focusing on the heart muscle itself. And all of a sudden, I felt it shut off. It was like an emotional disconnection from humanity and Gaia completely. And I've only experienced that a few other times, and it can be incredibly disturbing because immediately your body goes into fight or flight. It thinks that your survival is limited and you start to panic a little bit. Well, my guides are there going, just breathe. You know, you're not dying, just breathe. And Metatron is like, we're doing a heart reset. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, we took you all the way down to complete emotional disconnection from everything. And now we're restarting it back up again. And I'm like, how are you going to do that? And he goes, it's kind of like being paddled. Which, if you have to be paddled, it's a restart, right? So he took me through the restart, and it was actually quite interesting because I think as a distraction during that, they took me on this meditative astral journey to so many different places and things. I was going through colors and sounds and crystals and different parts of the earth. And every time I went to a different place, it healed a different part of the heart. And I remember very specifically, one of the coolest things was they had me put my hands out, and then they brought up this shiny black crystal, and my hands went into it, and then they merged into it. And I asked them, I'm like, what is this? And they said that it's off planet. It's not created here. But it's like, they said it's like charcoal. So it's a detoxer. I thought it was fascinating. But eventually, I would say maybe after an hour, hour and a half, Metatron was like, all right, we're done. You can go back to bed now. And I, felt fine. And I was, just moving a little slower the next day. But, why the collective needed a heart restart, I'm not sure exactly, but I can kind of, come up with a few reasons why we needed a heart restart. Why I had to be the one to feel it, I don't know. But it's kind of my job. Okay. And then a couple days later, I had everything was just so intense, you guys, which is why I'm talking about it. I'm like, I can't imagine that I'm the only one going. The past 7 days was just crazy. I had a multitude, like I am a gatekeeper. And so when there are earthbounds that need to cross over, I help them cross. When there are new deaths that happen and they need help crossing, my guides will bring them to me and I will help them cross. Well, my guides were bringing kind of like 3 at a time. They said that they were not U.S. military, but they were military, and it was happening overseas somewhere. And the way that they were dying was heart related, because I could feel what it felt like when they were here before I would cross them. Was like they would take their finger and stick it in my heart muscle. It was very sharp and very painful. And again, I have experienced so much over the past 7 days. I didn't bother to go any deeper. I just did what I needed to do in order to help them, to let them cross. But that happened like 6 times in a 24-hour period, where I had these groups of 3 people that were coming. And then 2 days after that, I had incredible amounts of negative entities that needed to be bridged back to source. And as an intercessor, again, what I do, you can call it banisher, whatever you want to call it, whatever term resonates with you. I call it bridging, because everything comes from source, everything goes back to source. And my guides, oh my God, it was, I can honestly say it was one of the worst days of my life, because my guides, every time they had a plethora of entities that needed to bridge back, they would touch me. And they always touch me in the same place, in the same way, when it has to do with demons. And it was getting so old. And I was trying to work at the same time. It's like when you're trying to do a 3D job and you're trying to do spiritual work at the same time, man, talk about challenging. But I was losing my mind. And my guide, I was like, look, it's just going to be for a day, I promise. But it was ridiculous. I mean, I can laugh now. That day, I was not laughing. I was hating my life and hating this mission. But I can laugh about it now because this has to be done. I remove dense energy from this planet. I help other people how to understand how to remove their dense energy from the planet. And that helps me tremendously when other people can do it for themselves. So please want to learn. But removing that dense energy is what I do. And it is not fun sometimes at all. So all I can say is by the time yesterday came, I think yesterday was like day 7 or 8 from when the solar flares happened. And I was just like, oh my God, I finally had a day where it was like so much calmer. I had to like take a deep breath and be like, okay. But yeah, so just throwing that out there again, just sharing a little personal information, because I know that there's a lot of people that do check in on me. You know, I do live in kind of in the middle of nowhere, and a lot of people like want to know, like, you know, what are you doing and how are you doing and stuff. And sometimes I'm just like, I will shut down. And if I am seriously helping Gaia, I will shut down. And I'm just like, don't text me, don't call me, don't email me, because this is intense. And so I apologize to those of you that were reaching out to me during that time frame, either wanting to book a session or just trying to touch base or something like that, that I completely shut off. And I kind of need a few more days to recoup from all of that. But I have started booking some sessions out at this point. Today was much better. And so anyway, how are you guys? How are you handling this solar flare intensity that seemed to pop in? And I just assume that there's still some of you that are like, oh, well, maybe that's why things were a little chaotic. But okay, I forget, Archangel Metatron wants me to mention this. There are some of you that are fighting for your limitations, and it creates a longer process. So again, your limitations are tapping into your symptoms, and the symptoms are just telling you what is needing to be healed. So pay attention to those things. Like we said before, when you are experiencing something, change your perspective of it. It's there to show you specifically what needs healing, what needs addressed, what needs your attention. And if you get in alignment with that, it helps it go much, much smoother. Okay? Just like me the other day with the demons, I was losing it, and that was not making the job any easier. But, you know, still partially human, so let me think. The other thing I wrote down that Metatron said is the sooner you embody your truth, your position, you leave the victim mentality and you start the healing process. He wants me to talk about the position again real quick. So the position, we all come in with a specific position. This does not change. This is how you view your own spirit's agenda on this planet. It's a truth. It's saying, I will be this kind of person. I will work from this type of space. This will be my anchor. It's something that never wavers. But then the roles that you play based off of that position will either challenge that position or expand and emanate the meaning of it. Okay, so as these symptoms and stuff like that come in, remember your position, anchor to it, allow your perceptions to be altered, tweaked, adjusted, so that you can continue to raise your consciousness, so that you can move through these symptoms with more ease and grace. Okay. Thank you to the entourage for their words of wisdom. I hope that it helps those of you that are watching. As always, if you know anyone else that might be able to benefit from this video, please share it. If you found it helpful, please like it. And if you need any support, you know how to reach me. Following the description below are all of the links. Okay, thanks everyone for this random video, and until next time.